Meeting of the 7th of September. I'll open the meeting with a prayer. Almighty God, be with us as you work for the people of the Shire of Moorabool. Grant us wisdom that we may care for the Shire as true stewards of your creation. May we be aware of the great responsibilities placed upon us. Help us to be just in all our dealings, and may our work prosper for the good of all. Amen. Also, I'd now like to read the acknowledgement of country. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. As per Council's policy, this meeting will be recorded, and the following organisations also have been granted permission to take an audio recording: the Moorabool News and the Star Weekly. I know that Councillor Ward has an apology today, so just note that. Note that Councillor Ward's an apology. And confirmation of minutes. Somebody move confirmation of minutes of the third. Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Seconded. Councillor Minari. I'll put that. All those in favour. Thank you. Item 7, Councillor's office. Any disclosure of conflict of interest on the items that are on the agenda tonight? Okay, thank you. Public question time. There's no public questions that come in, Mr CEO, at this juncture. Thank you. Item 9 is petitions. Councillors, I think Councillor Berry indicated there is a petition that has been handed to her, and she would like to table that to Council for future reference. Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I do have a petition. It's been handed to me from Catherine Williams, who lives at Lutadurk Street in Bacchus Marsh. It is the petition is headed "Save Rotary Park, Keep It Green." It's in relation to the master plan that's currently out there for Rotary Park, and I have 268 signatures that have been handed to me, and to be tabled at the next meeting.
Thank you, Councillor. Mr CEO, that will go through the normal process, and that will come forward on next meeting, next appropriate meeting, and will duly be responded to and a report. So thank you. Any other petitions, councillors? Okay, thank you. Presentations and deputations, Mr Mayor, which there are nil.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Bless you. No. Well, it was somewhat like that. Thank you. Next item, moving on to Chief Executive Officer reports. Item 11.1, flag flying policy. There is a recommendation. Councillors there.
I'm happy to move it.
You move that. Seconded. Councillor Edwards, sorry. Councillors, I would like to speak to this motion, if I may. So I'll call upon Councillor Dudzik, Deputy Mayor, to resume the chair, if that's all right. Thank you. Councillors, it sort of troubles me to actually have to sort of speak against this motion, not because I think we've actually extended it past the codification of a policy. Sorry, Mr. Head. If you object, we'll leave. Yeah, that's right, sorry.
I'll return to the chair once I'll return to my seat once he's spoken. No.
I think you need to person move it to speak first.
Oh.
No, stay there. Stay there, just...
Oh, you want me to speak? A lot of work has gone into this policy. It's a standard practice of when government organisations fly flags. It takes into the account the needs of various groups. It takes into the account needs of people, everyday Australians. The RSL takes into account the needs of Aboriginal and Indigenous people, as also the rainbow community. It's a standard practice, and I think that this policy is the best way forward, and I commend it to council, and I do sincerely hope that it's a very basic thing. There's reasons why we would fly these flags. They mean a lot to different groups in the community, and it's a small thing to do for a lot of different groups. Thank you.
Yeah, look, I think we're overdue to have a policy. Without policy, it becomes an argument every time. I think this is a good policy, and like all policies, as we learn from this, we will update and amend it in due course.
Those against?
Thank you, Acting Chair. As I said in my partial introduction, the reason I am raising some opposition to this, we definitely need a flag policy, but what we have is not a codification of our current practices. It goes beyond that. In fact, it seeks to incorporate a flag which we do not fly currently in none of our buildings, and then in fact which doesn't even meet the criteria of flying a flag that this policy espouses. So I think we need to separate the thing, have a flag policy to codify what we currently do through practice, and then we go through another process of admission of whether any other flag should be adhered coming in that policy, because it hasn't even been vetted by what the policy says itself, and that is there's a form there that an applicant would fill out and then go through that process and then be assessed and then decided upon whether that flag would fly or not. So effectively we've gone past what we currently do, and if this was just triggered by a petition we had a few months ago, so was 30 or 40 petitions the number that we use as a threshold for changing our flag. So I think we need to make sure we have a sound process before we do anything in admitting any other flags along that way, because we're doing it sort of gone past what we're trying to codify. So I think it might be a technical type argument. In my mind, we've sort of gone too far, too soon, without doing the initial step, having a flag policy and how we would introduce new flags. And then as part of the next process, which I think that's what the petition was seeking, to go out and consult with the community with respect to a particular flag. So I think we've sort of gone a bit past it, and it's more of a technical thing that I believe where we I feel we've jumped the gun. So thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak for or against? Is it okay if I close? The motion on the table is actually not to make a change, it's to put something out to the community for comment. It's laying the flag policy on the table, giving people the opportunity to have a say, whether they're for or whether they're against. It's good to give people that opportunity. This policy itself, the flag flying policy, is not in response to the petition. It is something that council was going to do anyway because it was discussed at a council meeting last year, and it is now coming back to council. The petition is to be dealt with separately at a future meeting. So separate the two issues. This is a policy, it's getting people's opinions, and it will come back at a later meeting where a decision will be made. Councillor Thatchell?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I'm reading the recommendation here. It doesn't say anything about putting it out to the public.
It says it's laying on the table for further consideration at the next council meeting. That means that anyone is interested can make a submission. They can write to council and give their views on it, or they can come and speak to the next council meeting if they wish. CEO?
Through the chair, it is proposed that this policy would go on our Have Your Say website as well for a period of 20 days, and then that feedback would be collated and then brought back with the policy at the next meeting. And
so, have you finished, Councillor Thatchell?
I only asked a question.
Your light's still on.
Nobody's home?
Those in favour? The motion is, those against? The motion is carried. Thank you.
The next item of business, Councillor, is 11.2, Community Asset Committee reports. There is one from the blacksmith shop. There's a recommendation there. Somebody prepared to move that, please? Councillor Edwards, a seconder. Councillor Minari. Any opposition? Put that as in favour. It's carried. Next item of business, item 12.1, high voltage transmission setback policy. Again, there is a recommendation there, councillors. Move Councillor Tatchell, seconded Councillor Dudzik. Any dissent? Put that as in favour. It's carried. Thank you. The next item of business is item 13.1, draft Masons Lane Reserve Master Plan. And there is a recommendation there that it go out on public exhibition for a 4-week period. Move Councillor Berry, seconder. Councillor Tatchell. Any opposition, councillors? I'll put that. All those in favour? All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. All those against? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Edwards. The next item of business, item 14.1, adoption in principle of the 2021-2022 financial statements for submission to the Victorian Auditor General for certification. And again, there is a recommendation on page 18. Move Councillor Edwards, seconded Councillor Berry. Any opposition? Okay. I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Item 14.2, 2021-2025 Moorabool Shire Council Plan, Year 1 progress, July 21 to June 2022. Move Councillor Tatchell. Seconder, please. Councillor Minari. Any opposition? I'll put that all. I'll put that. All those in favour. It's carried. Thank you. Item 14.3. 2017-2021 Moorabool Shire Council Plan Outstanding Actions Progress Report as of June 2022. There's a recommendation there, councillors. Move Councillor Edwards, seconder. Councillor Minari. Any opposition? I'll put that. All those in favour. It's carried. Thank you. Next item of business, item 15.1, Draft Gateway Strategy Endorsement for Community Consultation. There is a recommendation on page 29. Move Councillor Berry, seconded Councillor Edwards. Any opposition? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Item 15.2, Capital Improvement Program Quarterly Report, June 2022. There is a recommendation there, councillors. Move Councillor Tatchell, seconded Councillor Dudzik. Any opposition? I'll put that. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 16, other reports, nil. Item 17, notices of motion. 17.1, notice of motion, Gordon Mount Edgerton Road bike/walking track. Councillor Minari, a sponsor of this motion, do you wish to sort of give a little bit of a talk through and then sort of move the motion?
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this was a little bit of a passion of mine. I think in this day and age in regional small towns, we need a little bit more to do. And recent studies have shown that Moorabool residents want to be more active and physical and have physical opportunities in their small towns and in their towns of where they live. We also know that regional roads are very dangerous roads to be riding a bike on, walking on, having your children walking to and fro from school or their friends' houses. So I have requested a report to the CEO in regards to a bike walking track between Gordon and Mount Edgerton. The two communities are very well connected. A lot of residents would agree with that, I think, because a lot of Mount Edgerton children go to Gordon primary schools. So a lot of friends connect through both towns. So I would love to see a report into a bike walking track shared path, of maybe a granite sand path of some sort from Gordon to Mount Edgerton. I think it would be something that the community would really love to get out into the what's the word? Into the countryside, and actively, walk and exercise and socialise. So
Okay.
thank you.
So you will move the
And I would like to,
motion.
move the motion
Is there a second
to prepare that
motion,
report.
please? Councillor
I'm happy
Budzik.
to second.
Okay.
Can
Any
I?
Sorry, is question, Councillor Edwards?
Just probably to the CEO rather than councillor. So any report would include reference to the bike and hike strategy, because I noticed that that's not in there at the moment that I'm aware of.
Through the chair, that would be correct. We would reference the existing hike and bike strategy, what paths are in there, but also probably highlight that the hike and bike strategy is going to be under review in the next year or so. So we would reference that, and then we would also build up some cost estimates as to what something like that would cost, so that would be brought back to council, so council can make an informed decision.
So that would form part of the report coming back.
Just with that, Mr Speaker, we also find out what projects may not go ahead in the hike and bike strategy, like priority-wise.
Yeah, I'm happy to show the priority list in that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a move? Any other? Sorry, Councillor
Yeah.
Berry, a question, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I think it's a great idea, all these walking paths in our community, but when I was reading it, I looked at the situation where it goes across a railway line. Is that a used railway line it's going across? So is that the train that goes from Melbourne to... Yeah, I just... how do we address those when, at the moment, they're looking at trying to reduce the amount of walking traffic going across railway stations and railway lines, and there is I don't think there's a station nearby there, is there? So the fast train is going through. How do we address those where we're going to walk across a railway line?
I would take it that would form part of the report, to be
report?
honest with
Yep.
you. I mean, Councillor Tatchell?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Could I have included in that report some maintenance costings, because we do have a number of these around the Shire that we're struggling to maintain. So I think it's one thing to build something, it's another thing that, what's it going to cost to maintain
Would that be
it
embedded
over a
in the
period of
report,
time?
Mr CEO, or is that something, a separate motion?
Now, through the chair, I think that's something we would include. It's part of our asset management now, is to actually build the ongoing costs into it. So we would factor that in.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? We have a mover and a seconder. So, any opposition? I'll put that. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Item 18, notice of rescission, nil. Item 19.1, the Mayor's report, which has been circulated. I understand, councillors, are the activity that opportunities I've been involved in the last month. So if somebody would like to note the Mayor's report received, Councillor Dudzik, Councillor Berry, all those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Next item of business, council report. I'll start on the left and go clockwise. Councillor Minari, any council reports, please?
Nothing to report, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Tatchell, any council reports, please?
Nothing to report, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Berry, any council reports?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. On Saturday, the 6th of August, 2:30, I went to the opening of the Palmer Employment Precinct City Gate Gas Connection. What I got out of that for the community is that the great news is that the area will create approximately 1,500 jobs around that precinct. On Saturday, the 27th of August at 2 o'clock, I attended the Australian Citizenship Ceremony at the Mechanics Institute in Balan. It was nice to see so many, including whole families, taking the oath to become Aussies in our Shire, and for that Mechanics Hall to be packed with people who were taking the oath and friends and family that were supporting them was great to see. Attended the meet and greet with the Minister at the Darley Hub, Ingrid Stint, at the Darley Early Years Hub, and was most impressed by that Darley early years hub at all the facilities they've got in there that I was very surprised. These kids have got a great facility that they can go to every day and learn in our shire. I attended the Lerderderg Library I was a participant in the Women's Health Week this week, a session on healthy eating. I was quite surprised. I think I eat healthily, but learnt a lot from the presenter from the Melton area, and the takeaway was we eat too much, basically, and you can always learn something every day. And well done to Mirrabul Shire staff for organising these events for Women's Health Week.
Thank you,
Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
Berry. Councillor Dudzik, any councillor reports?
I also attended the meet and greet with the Minister at the Darley Early Years Hub, and yes, it's great to see that it's improved over the years. Apart from that, nothing to report.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Edwards, any report? Okay, thank you. Councillors, next item of business, urgent business, and I'll sort of go around this clockwise again. Councillor Minnaar, any urgent business?
No urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Tatchell, any urgent business, please?
Just a question, only that it came up today, and it's relevant to the next council meeting anyway, but just a question. The accounts for the billboards that go out the front of shops, like the takeaway food shops and that, have all been sent out, and I think they have to be paid before the next meeting. My question is that I've been called by a number of people based on the cost per square metre to these businesses that have tables and chairs out there. And the question, I suppose, is the differential between a cafe that has tables and chairs, well, a question of cost, compared to other retailers that leave their goods for sale outside that don't have to pay per square metre, yet they're taking up exactly the same amount of footpath. And I'd also foreshadow that at some point, probably at the next meeting, that we look at those costings in light of the current financial climate, whether our local businesses actually should be paying per square metre or just a set fee.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Tatchell. Mr. CEO, is that something that you could perhaps look into and follow through, please?
Yeah, through the chair, no, I'm happy to take that and have a conversation with the staff tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Any other urgent business, Councillor Tatchell? No. Councillor Berry, any urgent business, please?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Dudzik?
No, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Edwards, any urgent business, please? Okay, thank you. Councillors, we do have go into a closed session, so we might take a 5-minute break, if you like, while we reset for the matter in closed session, which involves an All Abilities Trail Stage 2B. So we might take a 5-minute recess and resume in 5 minutes, if that's okay. Thank you.